No, I'm telling you. If I don't have enough Primogems to roll for Bike Lady Marvuika, it's not going to be my testicles that we sacrifice to the Dark Gods.
I am the Gate Guardian.
Like, the guardian of every gate in the world, or just that one specifically?
I am the Gate Guardian. None shall pass this gate.
Look, buddy, I wasn't exactly asking.
Then you shall die.
We currently live in an age where if a Yu-Gi-Oh monster was notable in Duel Monsters, it's going to get an Archetype, or at least some minor support. There was always Blue Eyes, Red Eyes and Dark Magician, but in later years we got Gaia the Fierce Knight, Flame Swordsman, the Battle Guards, Blackluster Soldier, Relinquished, the Metalmorph Trap card. Nothing is off the table. So I find it somewhat strange that it took them this long to give the same treatment to Gate Guardian. Gate Guardian is one of the most iconic monsters of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters Season 1. Used by the Paradox brothers in the iconic Labyrinth duel against Yugi and Joey, Gate Guardian was said to be in the class of Exodia, as a hyper-powerful monster feared by all duelists. During that match, it definitely lived up to the hype. The real card was released in 2002, and it was immediately marked as one of the worst monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. How can this be? Well, let me show you. Gate Guardian is a level 11 Dark Warrior with 3750 attack, 3400 defense, and this card cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing one Sangha of the Thunder, Kazejin, and Suijin. Well, that's a condition, not an effect. A summoning condition. This is just a massive vanilla monster. And what are these monsters that you need to tribute for its summon? Sangha of the Thunder, a light thunder type monster with 2600 attack and 2200 defense. Kazejin, a wind spellcaster with 2400 attack and 2200 defense, and Suijin, a water aqua with 2500 attack and 2400 defense. All of these are level 7 and have the following effect. Once, while face up on the field, during damage calculation in your opponent's turn, if this card is being attacked, quick effect, you can target the attacking monster, make that target's attack 0 during damage calculation only. All you get for tributing those 3 monsters is 3750 attack and no effect. What if your opponent is controlling Beast King Barbaros
Oh no!
I'll tell you what then, you leave the 3 tribute materials on the field. Unless you specifically need to get over a huge monster like Super Quantal Mecha King Great Magnus via battle, Gate Guardian offers far less versatility than the 3 monsters that can reduce an attacking monster's points to 0. A fun trivia fact about the 3 pieces is that they all make for a fantastic combo with last turn. Chances are your opponent won't have a freely special summonable monster with targeting protection, so any of these 3 guardians will always be stronger, causing you the win, or at the very least, a draw. But last turn is perhaps the last card that will ever come off the Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list, so these just end up as level 7 monsters that demand effect removal, with their combined form being a very bad card overall. The Gate Guardian pieces, Sangha, Kazejin, and Suijin, were able to be placed as spell cards in that Labyrinth duel, but in the real game they'll need 2 tributes each. That's 6 monsters you need to tribute overall just to get the pieces to the field, before you can unleash the Gate Guardian, assuming you had it in your hand to begin with. Pendulum monsters do make summoning the pieces easier, but this is Master Rule 2020. The future is now, old man. So yeah, after these few cards, Gate Guardian was left in the far past as a shoo-in for top 10 hardest monsters to summon that aren't worth it videos, or as a really good target to equip to Subaba General. And for almost 2 decades, that was all it ever was. However, there's a few other cards I need to cover first that were used by Power and Docs during their duels. Labyrinth Wall is a level 5 Earth Rock Vanilla with no attack and 3000 defense. If you want an alternative to Millennium Shield, it's pretty good. And that's all. Magical Labyrinth is an equip spell. Equip only to Labyrinth Wall. You contribute the equip monster, special summon Wall Shadow from your deck. Okay, sure. Why not? Wall Shadow is a level 7 Dark Warrior with 1600 attack, 3000 defense, and this effect. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must first be special summoned with Magical Labyrinth. And that's it. So, for all that effort, tribute summoning Labyrinth Wall, equipping Magical Labyrinth to it, and then tributing them both, you get a monster with 1600 attack and 3000 defense. What's the point? Just tribute set Labyrinth Wall and you've accomplished just as much good with 2 less cards than before. This is a remnant of a time long past. But, like with most remnants of the past, this card didn't stay gone forever. It returned in the new wave of Gate Guardian support, taking the form of Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth, a level 5 dark zombie with 1600 attack, 1300 defense and this effect. You can discard this card, add 1 Labyrinth Wall card from your deck to your hand. At the start of the damage step, if your opponent's monster battles while you control a Labyrinth Wall card, you can banish this card from your graveyard, destroy that opponent's monster. You can only use each effect of Shadow Ghoul of the Labyrinth once per turn. Wall Shadow was so ashamed of itself that when it came back for this retrain it made it so you never actually have to summon it to the field. This card has 3 copies of Terraforming to search your new field spell, and also the original Labyrinth Wall if you're that guy, and it provides some extra utility in the graveyard, as you will always be wanting to have that field spell on the field. Run 2 or 3, just never ever summon it, it's shy. Next up is Labyrinth Heavy Tank. It's a level 7 dark machine with 2400 attack and defense and the following effect. You can normal summon this card without tributing. Cannot attack the turn it is normal summoned. During your main phase, you can place one of your Sanga of the Thunder, Kazijin or Suijin that is banished or in your hand or deck, face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. Then, if you control a Labyrinth Wall card, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls. You can only use this effect of Labyrinth Heavy Tank once per turn. Welcome to the new role of the Gate Guardian pieces, being placed in the spell and trap card zones as continuous spells. Huh, that's 2 archetypes I reviewed in a row with that gimmick. I wonder what's going to come next for me. Heavy Tank is a good body on the field from a normal summon, and immediately gets one of your Gate Guardian pieces onto the field, even providing some destruction afterwards if you control their field spell. Or the original Labyrinth Wall, of course! It's only once per turn, but so is your normal summon, and you still have other ways of gathering the other pieces. You can gather them from anywhere that isn't the graveyard, and you don't mind your pieces ending up in there anyway. Running 2 or 3 tanks is a safe bet, because extra copies in your hand can also be targets for Sacred Sword of 7 stars. Labyrinth Wall Shadow is their much mentioned field spell, and just like seeing Genjin Wakes from a Millennium sounds like a trap card, Labyrinth Wall Shadow sounds like a monster. But it's not. It's a field spell, and it's a pretty decent one. Monsters cannot attack the turn they are summoned, except monsters whose original level is 5 or higher. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can place one of your Sanga of the Thunder, Kazijin or Suijin that is banished or in your hand or deck, face up in your spell and trap card zone as a continuous spell. At the start of your opponent's battle phase, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls with less than 1600 attack, destroy it. Let's break this down piece by piece. The attack prevention is generally whatever unless you're facing King of the Skull Servants, but it does keep Xyz and Link monsters at bay for a turn, so that's genuinely appreciated. The main effect is just the same as Labyrinth Tank, except it's not a hard once per turn, meaning if you end up with multiple field spells, you can get multiple searches in a single turn. The battle phase effect isn't exactly bad, but chances are that your opponent's monsters with 1600 or less attack aren't what you need to worry about. Except for this one. Run 3 of these as well. Right, I think we're warmed up by now. Time to meet the Gate Guardian retrain. Or retrains. Konami went down the genuinely fun idea pathway of making a new monster for every possible 2-piece combination of the Gate Guardian monsters, and they played it smart by making them all level 9 fusion monsters. To save me some time reading, all of these fusions require you to banish the required materials from the field, which can be as continuous spells or as monsters. They also have the shared effect that if this face-up special summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon one of their banished materials. Right away, this is good recovery, leaving you with a decent monster and material for another summon on the field, but each combination also have their own unique effects. Gate Guardian of Thunder and Wind is a light thunder monster with 2500 attack and 2200 defense, requiring Sanga of the Thunder and Kazijin, and the unique effect is, during your main phase, you can add 1 spell or trap card from your deck to your hand that mentions Sanga of the Thunder, Kazijin, and Suijin. You can only use this effect of Gate Guardian of Thunder and Wind once per turn, and of course upon removal by your opponent, it lets you special summon Sanga or Kazijin. This is a solid opener for the trio. Gate Guardian now has a few decent support cards which include spot removal, so instant access to that is appreciated. Your extra deck space isn't very tight, so run as many of these as you like. Gate Guardian of Thunder and Water is a water aqua monster with 2550 attack and 2300 defense, and it requires Suijin and Sanga, and of course it recovers one of them upon floating. The unique effect is once per chain, quick effect, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, change its attack to 0 until the end of this turn. You can only use this effect of Gate Guardian of Water and Thunder twice per turn. Targeting attack reduction isn't the greatest effect in the world, but it makes this card a great tech choice in Reptilian. In all seriousness, this card can either up your damage output or save you from a heavy hitter, and the fact that it's twice per turn allows for some extra utility. With all that said, I'd still call this the worst of the 2-part fusions. Still, run 1. Gate Guardian of Wind and Water is the final 2-piece fusion, and it's a wind spellcaster monster with 2450 attack and 2300 defense. It requires Kazijin and Suijin and recovers one of them upon floating. The unique effect is once per chain, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card or effect on the field, quick effect, you can negate that effect. You can only use this effect of Gate Guardian of Wind and Water twice per turn. I'd say this is the best card of the 2-piece fusions if you're not aiming to win the game immediately. This is a decent negation effect, being usable twice per turn for no cost. Admittedly, it only affects on-field back row, and it doesn't destroy the negated card, but that's no reason to dismiss the effect. Again, run as many as you'd like. And finally, it's time to get to the retrain. The Retrain, one of the most highly anticipated remasterings since Metal Gear Rising, Batman Arkham Origins, and the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy, may I present Gate Guardians Combined. It's a level 12 Dark Warrior fusion with 3750 attack, 3400 defense, and it requires all three of Sanga, Kazijin, and Suijin to summon. The difference is that they can be banished from your hand, field, or graveyard. Here's the effect. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card you control, quick effect, you can negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. You can only use this effect of Gate Guardians Combined thrice per turn. If this face-up special summon card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can special summon one level 11 or lower Gate Guardian monster from your deck or extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. This is so much better than the original Gate Guardian, it's not even funny. Then again, the bar wasn't set very high. Targeting negation that protects your entire field instead of just itself, and it's one of only 10 effects in the game that can function thrice per turn. It's a bit funny when your opponent fails to read the card and gets 2 of their effects negated in a row. The floating is also fantastic, getting you out any of the 2-piece fusions you might need, or just summoning the original Gate Guardian, if there was ever a reason you wanted to do that. The summoning condition requires a bit more attention. It can banish your materials from anywhere that isn't the deck. This may seem petty, but I would have honestly preferred it so that the 2-piece fusions have this banish from anywhere condition, while combined would require materials you control, seeing as your biggest boss monster is actually much easier to summon than any of the smaller fusions. But considering the pathetic state the Archetype was in before this monster came out, it is a very petty complaint, seeing as this condition only makes the deck that much stronger. To add on to this, once you've summoned Gate Guardians Combined, activating Burial from a Different Dimension will allow you to immediately summon another Gate Guardians Combined, as there's no once per turn limitation on the summoning. Admittedly, the negation effects do not stack on top of each other, but now you've got 2 massive monsters on your field, and you could even make a rank 12, such as 7 Sins, or summoning Zeus the correct way. Gate Guardians Combined is a fantastic retrain of a classic monster, and should be ran at 3. Their first spell card apart from their field spell is Ryoku Guardian. If your life points are lower than your opponent's, target one monster you control with Gate Guardian in its original name. Half your opponent's life points, then that monster gains attack equal to your opponent's life points. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add one of your Sanga of the Thunder, Kazijin, or Suijin that is banished or in your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Ryoku Guardian once per turn. The second effect, recovering your banished Gate Guardian pieces or searching the ones still in your deck, is something that every piece of back row I'm about to mention has in common, so I won't keep reading it out. It's a good effect that extends your plays, nothing more to say on that. But the main effect is pretty damn great, if you can activate it. Because you need to have lower life points than your opponent, the card is useless by itself on turn 1 and probably useless on turn 2, so that makes it a turn 3 card at best. It can get your Gate Guardian to over 7,000 attack and nearly guarantee a one-hit kill, but it can also be a dead draw. You could always run 3 upstart goblins to help ensure more consistent usage, which is likely the best way to do it because if you're winning, this card is almost useless, and if you're losing, you may not have the Gate Guardian to use with this card. Don't max out on this, but run at least one for a fun surprise. Double Attack Wind and Thunder is the quick play spell, and it has the following effect. If you control a Gate Guardian monster, target one card on the field, destroy it. During your main phase, you can use the same recovery and search effect as Ryoku Guardian, and that search is a hard once per turn. This is their spot removal I mentioned earlier. It's the plainest target and destroy effect in existence, but it works on every type of card, it's non-once per turn, it's a quick effect, and it's searchable. It's worth running a copy or two for all of its utility. Prey of the Jirai Gumo is the only Gate Guardian trap card. Special summon this card as a normal monster, Insect, Earth, level 5, attack 2100, defense 100 to your main monster zone in its same column. This card is also still a trap. Then you can destroy one monster your opponent controls in this card's column. It has the same search and recovery effect as the previous 2 cards, and both of these effects are hard once per turns. This card is fine, I suppose. It's more easily activatable than Ryoku, but all it gets you is a vanilla level 5. The column-based destruction is a cute bit of utility I guess, so make sure to set this in front of an extra monster zone. This is what I'd call the least remarkable of the Gate Guardian back row, but you should still run at least one probably, due to the search effect, which makes it an easy target for foolish burial goods if you want to run that. For some time, that was the end of the Gate Guardian support. But early 2024, we got 2 latecomers to the party, courtesy of the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX era. Dark Element is a normal spell that says if you have a Gate Guardian monster in your graveyard, pay half your life points, special summon one level 11 or higher Gate Guardian monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. It also has the same recovery effect as the previous 3 pieces of back row, and both effects are hard once per turns. This is pretty cool. It allows for a comeback at the cost of half your life points, which is something you'll always be able to afford, and it can bring out Gate Guardian combined for free. The activation will probably get your life points low enough to activate Ryoku as well. However, there is an alternative to summoning combined, and no, I'm not talking about summoning the original Gate Guardian. Dark Guardian is their final card, a level 12 Dark Warrior with 3800 attack and defense and the following effect. This card is always treated as a Gate Guardian card. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be either special summoned by Dark Element or special summoned from your hand or graveyard by shuffling into the deck one each of your Sanga of the Thunder, Kazijin and Suijin that is in your hand, face up field, graveyard, and or banished. Cannot be destroyed by battle. If this card is special summoned by the effect of Dark Element, it is unaffected by other monsters' effects or your opponent's activated spell cards or effects. Now this is a worthy card to cap off a review with. The summoning condition is super easy, letting you shuffle the materials in from literally anywhere except face down banishment, though you'll really want to bring it out with Dark Element. If you do, this thing is invincible to almost 66% of all cards in this game. And who's running Mirror Force these days? Shining Sarcophagus players? Being immune to battle destruction is a fine effect to have as the default one, given that in the anime that was this thing's only protection effect. But on a 3800 body, I can't help but feel it's a little unnecessary.
It's no use!
Whether you play this as a backup option, your main option, or as an extension to your existing boards, Dark Guardian is a fantastic card for the Gate Guardian deck. On to the strengths and weaknesses. Hey, I can actually use this chart properly for once. Strengths. Power. The Gate Guardian deck hits hard. Your main monster has 3750 attack. Not much is getting over that without being boosted. It's also pretty easy to swarm the field with multiple Gate Guardian monsters. My max record was 2 Gate Guardian combined and 2 Dark Guardians on a single turn. Combine that with spot removal, quick play attack reduction, and the ability to halve your opponent's life points with a single spell card, and this archetype is very capable of crushing the opponent very quickly. At its core, the Gate Guardian deck is a front runner deck. When it gets on the front foot, when it is taking the initiative, it is very hard for your opponent to stop it, just because of how big the monsters are and how much protection they now have access to in terms of stopping removal. However, moving on to the weaknesses, the deck can still fall short on consistency. Even with 3 copies of Shadow Ghoul, 3 field spells, and 2 to 3 Labyrinth tanks, you can still brick. Your opening hand might be filled up with 2 Gate Guardian pieces that you can't do anything with, a Dark Guardian, and a bunch of support cards that only work with the fusions, leaving you wide open for attack. You can circumvent this with things like Foolish Burial Goods for emergency searching, and Sacred Sword of 7 stars to boost draw power, but it's still worth mentioning that this deck can brick fairly often. In that same vein, the comeback ability is limited. When I called this deck a front runner deck, I wasn't kidding, it is not designed to be on the back foot. If you lose Gate Guardians combined and can't get either Dark Guardian or Dark Element or make the most with your 2-piece fusion, and your other pieces are stuck in your deck or are already banished, you could be cooked, as a lot of the support only works when you already have a fusion monster, so if your opponent can get rid of them, you may be stuck for options. It also lacks protection against non-targeting removal. Unless you can get out the Wind and Water fusion, you have no defense against things like Lightning Storm, Raigeki, or anything that uses non-targeting removal, and even then, that won't do anything against monster effects. There is Dark Guardian's Dark Element based immunity, but that's one monster, and that will still get punked out by battle traps and infinite impermanence. As a final note, this deck is extremely weak to anything that prevents special summoning or being hit by too many negations. I, for example, got hit with Gimmick Puppet Nightmare and was completely helpless to do anything. In revenge, I got the thing banned. You're welcome, Internet. Here's my personal Gate Guardian deck. Like I've said, it's Gate Guardian or bust, but that's really all you need when they made the monsters this powerful. We were waiting a long time to see a modern day adaptation of Gate Guardian, and I think it was done really well. Admittedly, it wasn't a high bar to make something better than the original, but they kept the spirit of the deck alive in this new support wave. In an age of old monsters getting small archetypes built around them, Gate Guardian still manages to stand out and stand well with a solid retrain, support cards that actually assist your plays, and a playstyle that fits the theme of the original monster in its anime appearances. It's somewhat competent when it works, and it can be a decently fun deck, at least if you enjoy making level 12s with lots of targeting protection and swinging for game with a fat damage number. And you know what? I just so happen to enjoy doing that. I'm not in a hurry to see any more Gate Guardian support, as I think the card has gotten enough for now to sustain it. and it was done really well. It's a relief to finally see an iconic monster making appearances in the modern game in a more than worthy form.
And thus ends the tribute to the Gate Guardian. Farewell, sir. You'll always be remembered as the ultimate warrior in terms of attack and defense. And who are you supposed to be?
I am the Gate Guardians combined.
So I guess that makes you the straight Guardian. Look, man, I'm just trying to get past. I'm already late to the annual Genshin Impact meetup convention, and if I'm any later than I already am, I'm gonna be...
None shall pass this gate.
Alright, seems we're at a bit of an impasse. Gotta say, you seem like a very formal guy, a very learned man. I guess you could say you know how to spell. Me too. In fact, I just know how to spell your defeat.
Do you have another 3?
I said I could spell, I never said I could count.
Thank you everybody for watching this episode of MattTGM's Archetype Analysis. You guys voted for this as part of my 5 videos of December, so I hope it was able to live up to expectations. This will be the last Yu-Gi-Oh video on my channel for a while, as I'm taking a break from it in January, but I already have a fully completed script on Poker Nights, which will more than likely be the next archetype I review, likely coming out in February or March. I want to say thank you to everybody who has supported this series over the last 2.5 years since its revival in 2022. I know that this series is B-Tech Archetype Archive, but I think I've managed to make some decent videos out of this concept. Videos that either educate or entertain you all, and I did it in somewhat my own style, at least now I have. It's not the most consistent series on my channel, nor will it ever be, but I have fun making these videos, and I will definitely be making more if that's what you guys want to see. Likely contenders next year include Poker Nights, Blackluster Soldier, a Duel Monsters triple feature, Sacred Beasts, Blue Eyes White Dragon, and the Egyptian God cards. So, if those sound good, why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out when they release? Speaking of, be sure to leave a like and a comment on this video, it helps out the channel a lot, and maybe even donate to my Patreon if you think that I've earned it. With all that said, I think we're done here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.